Welcome to Brotherly Discourse.
Where you don't have to agree, just join the conversation with me, Oliver, and my brother,
Simon.
So today we are kind of talking about something a little bit different. Next week, I think we are going to do more of a Christmas type episode since it'll be coming out the day after Christmas. Let's just get right into it. Why don't we?
Okay.
So you and I have both ended up in very different places academically. Like me, for example, I'm in a 4-year university for teaching, and you are in a 2-year, 1 year like trade program. So I don't want to talk about which is better because I don't think there's an answer to that. But why we kind of chose them and what we've learned so far and what we wish other people understood, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I guess I'll just direct the question to you first because I guess I don't really know where to go with that. What have you learned so far, and what do you wish people understood about a 4-year university, 4-year degree?
Yeah, learn as far as my degree.
Sure.
Not a whole ton, to be honest with you. A lot of it is basics. I've only had 3 teaching classes that I've taken. 2 in my first semester, and then 1 this semester that's just ending the day that this is going live. And those have been important, I would say, to learn the basics of education and how to handle people with special needs. That was a whole class. Or people, not even just that, but on IEPs, individualized education plans, etc. And then I just had an educational technology class, which I was hoping would teach me more than it did. But it was just how to use education technology in education. Otherwise, it's I've had history classes, geography classes, those types of things. So it's just kind of basic stuff that...
So it's high school.
Similar, but social studies. It's all social studies. And economics I've had, and not my favorite, but it's okay. But yeah, what have you learned?
Yeah, see, that's completely different than mine, where mine is when I am in school, which it seems to be less than I'm at work. So that's a big different thing, because sure, you work a good amount, but it's not in what you're going to school for. So all the classes I've taken have been very specific to my career field. So I do plumbing primarily as a career, so I did plumbing school last year. So there were classes like steel pipe procedures, you're learning to thread pipe and stuff like that, and then also plastic pipes, your PVC, your PEX, all that sort of thing. So mine translated directly into the workforce, and I feel like that helped me. I feel like school for a lot of people, especially school like that, it's hard to really grasp because it's all over the place. It's all very specific to the job. So if you're not in the field doing it and also learning it, it's hard to kind of apply it, if that makes sense.
No, I think that makes a lot of sense. Did you think that you'd ever be here, in this career field?
Yeah.
Schooling, since when? How old were you when you made
I was probably a sophomore when I realized... See, I've told this story to a few people before. When I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do when I grew up, I started by a process of elimination. I do not want to do this. I don't want to do that. And I knew I didn't want to sit in an office or sit in a building and do the same thing every single day. So quickly I came to trades. And then after that, it was just a matter of what trade I wanted to be in. So I did see myself being here, yes.
Did you ever consider any other trades heavily?
Yeah, I wanted to be a lineman. So the big power line people. I'm very happy I didn't do that. There's good money in it, but I'm very happy I didn't do that, especially the day we're recording this big winter weather deal. So those guys would be out there and not really what I want to be doing. So
Yeah. What do you think people assume about like the path that you've taken to get to where you are at now?
A big misconception, I think, and I think when I looked through this template of the episode, I think we'll get to it more specifically. But a big misconception people have about guys that go into the trades is that they're dumb or they weren't smart enough for other things. And I'll touch on that deeper as we get on with the episode. But that's a big misunderstanding, is that I must be dumb or I couldn't do any other job or stuff like that. What about with, education, school, your education?
Yeah.
What are there any misconceptions there? And how long did you know that's what you were gonna do?
Yeah.
Like, did you see yourself being on that path?
Probably like a junior or senior in high school. I know I've told the story on this podcast before. I think it was when our third episode when we had McKenna on. Yeah, that feels like so long ago. But anyway, I know because she is also going to school for education. And I know I had told the story there where I think it was probably senior year actually. And we had a substitute teacher in one of our classes. And I was like leading the class in discussion. And she was like, have you ever thought about being a teacher? And I was like, no. And I thought about it and I was like,
I feel like I remember this.
yeah, and I was like, well, that's not a bad idea, because I didn't know what I wanted to do, like, going into senior year. It must have been junior year. So I didn't know what I wanted to do going into my junior year of high school. And then, because I remember when I joined the Army, I knew that I wanted to be a teacher. So it must have been junior year. But anyway.
What were you thinking before that?
I honestly don't even know. I don't remember. I had considered law at one time. I'm glad I didn't do that because I don't think law school would be for me. I mean, if you guys remember Jana from our second episode and also our camera person, she is going to school for that or will be here like this time next year. Or not this time, in like a year and a half. Anyway, the amount of research and writing and all that she has to do, I don't think I could
See,
do.
that was the big thing for me too. Like, I knew I did not want to continue doing school as I knew school to be.
Well, I don't mind school, like, at the level that I'm doing it, but I couldn't be reading massive textbooks all the time, writing 10-page papers 3 times a week, whatever. Like, I just couldn't do it.
Guess how many papers I've had to write?
0.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, so that's kind of how I got there. I don't know if I talked or touched on misconceptions yet, did I?
No.
I don't know if there's a ton of misconceptions. I would say more like to do with males in education, because you don't see that very often. I think there's a very important place for males in education. I think it's important for students or young people who have maybe never had a positive male role model in their life to see like respectful, smart men, specifically for young boys or like high school level, middle school level boys. Say like they didn't have a dad or a father figure growing up, and like they see all these women all the time like talking to the girls in the class about how important being like a strong independent woman is. And if you don't have a strong male role model in your life, you kind of miss out on some of that. So I think that that's an important thing that men in education can be for people. Otherwise, as far as misconceptions, I don't really know. It's not too crazy, like schooling wise. At least the way I balance it, it doesn't end up being too crazy. So
yeah. Well, we'll just use that to quickly pivot here. I mean, we've kind of been talking about this. This section is why this path, and you've kind of answered a few of the questions here. But I guess when did the decision actually become real? Because you said you kind of knew going to senior year, but
Yeah, I would say probably going to senior year was when I was like, okay, this is what I'm doing, because it was time to apply to places. And I guess it was probably before that because I had applied to the University of North Dakota at the end of my junior year for secondary education originally was what I had applied for. So I guess probably then, because I was trying to pick where I wanted to go to school, and I needed to know what I was going for at that time. So I would say that was probably when it became real. But yeah, and then like part of me was thinking about changing my mind, but I never ended up doing that.
So, was there anybody that really truly influenced, like had a big influence on the choice you made of the path you were gonna follow?
I would say maybe a couple teachers in high school, just in the sense of like seeing them be as like influential and different. It wasn't even that they were super influential on me, but seeing how they impacted other people's lives made me want to do that for students as well.
Do you want to give anyone a shout out?
I won't name any names. I actually saw a specific male teacher that we had in high school at work the other day, who he retired before we graduated. If you can remember who that was,
you'll have to verify offline.
Yeah,
but I'm pretty sure I know.
And I talked to him for a little while, and it's always good to see those people and catch up, and because he still seemed to like genuinely care about what I was doing and what was going on, and I think that's really cool and really important. But yeah, so like there were a couple teachers that influenced my choice. Definitely not my parents, because they weren't very on board right away.
Yeah, what's like the biggest negative you hear about it, like teaching? I mean, I have a guess, but
money, like how much you'll make, I would say. That's what everybody brings up. And then also just like hours. A lot of people bring up like, oh, do you really want to be bringing work home all the time, like with grading papers and stuff?
It's kind of how a lot of jobs are.
Yeah, I mean, it's important that you don't bring things like students like issues and stuff home, because like at the end of the day, like there's only so much you can do, so it's not worth worrying about all the time, or like putting your whole self into some student's issue. I mean, you should definitely help them to the best of your ability and give them the resources that you can, but you're not like the end all be all for their issues. And I think a lot of teachers like fall into that, which is fine. It's because they're caring people and they genuinely care. But I think that also helps with a lot of the issues that people run into.
That being said, what kind of impact do you hope you have as a teacher one day?
Yeah, I just kind of want to be the kind of teacher that, can successfully teach them something. And it's not even all about, like, when I talk about history, for example, it's not about, like, memorizing names, dates, all that kind of stuff. Like, if I'm like teaching World War II and the Holocaust, for example, they don't need to memorize, the Allied commanders or like dates of certain battles and stuff. I mean, it might be important to know like when the war started and ended, but it's not like they need to know the Battle of the Bulge, like what dates, just as an example. But to like understand why it happened and what came out of it, just like the main, themes. It's pretty much like learn your history so you don't repeat it type thing, but like also kind of get to them, and also just making a positive impact on their lives as a person. Like, I'm not their friend, but I am there to not just teach them concepts of social studies, but also teach them how to be a good person and teach them how to think for themselves, and how to work as a in a team, how to be a nice person to people, because that's stuff that you're going to use the rest of your life. So I mean, it's like people always talk about bullying and stuff. People are going to be jerks throughout the rest of your life, so obviously if somebody's like you should go kill yourself or something, like that's not acceptable. And like I think bullying should be handled in the proper ways, but it's also important to learn how to deal with those kind of people because your boss is probably going to be a bully someday. That's just how life is, unfortunately. But so that's just an example of teaching them about life. But
Yeah, I get all that. Do you want to keep it moving here, maybe?
yeah, I mean, on your end with the plumbing and the HVAC and the trades and whatever. Why I don't know if I really asked this before, but why specifically did you choose plumbing and then HVAC to kind of supplement it?
Yeah, so there's a few reasons I usually use as an answer. I don't know exactly why. I guess I always knew I wanted to move back up home, back up north. And when I looked around, I just saw the big need was plumbers. So I think that's the actual reason. But now when people ask me why I chose that out of all trades, I usually say my dad was a plumber out of high school for a year or two. My grandfather was also a plumber, so it's just kind of the way to go. But I think it actually was because I saw there was a big demand for it.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I chose that.
And you think that you can fill that hole?
Hopefully.
Yeah. So why specifically not a 4-year?
Well, there isn't really a 4-year to go along with that.
Yeah, but I mean, like, did you ever think, or have you always been in the mindset of like, I don't want to go to a 4-year school?
No, I think earlier in high school I just kind of expected to because that was kind of the expectation. Like you go to college and that's 4 years, because I was just ignorant to any other routes, I guess. So initially I expected to, but then as I started to learn that there's other routes you can take, cheaper routes, and we're going to get into that too here, the cost of stuff, but cheaper routes to go, and then you have a higher earning potential immediately out of it with a lower debt.
Yeah. No, I think that makes sense. So plumbing was never, like, it was, I mean, once you started seriously considering paths, it was like the plan. It wasn't like a pivot from something else.
No, that was the plan.
Okay.
And it's probably been the plan since junior year. Probably there, yeah.
Was there anything about it that made it feel like right? Like it didn't make you, like you, were you ever, I guess.
There's a lot of doing the job. There's a lot of times where I've been like, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
I was just talking to a coworker about that. Like when I first started, there was one day that was not fun at all. When I first started, we were working 65-hour weeks. It was it was a very busy time, and the hours weren't the problem. It was the middle of August, and it was super hot, and it was rough. I got strong pretty quick moving stuff, and I was the young guy, the new man. So right away I was like, why am I doing this? But as I've done a lot of the work and I find fulfillment in it, I guess it feels right, and it's what I know. I knew that's what I'll be doing the rest of my life.
Yeah, no, that's good. Do you kind of want us move to, or do you want to move on to the next section?
Sure. So I guess we'll talk about the difference here between college and tech school. So what is it like? What's your workload outside of actually being in a physical classroom or whatever?
Yeah, so mine is probably a lot different from other people. Like my college experience has been a lot different. I've never lived on campus. I've taken online classes both of the 2 semesters that I've done currently. So I haven't been in class as much as other people. Like, for example, this semester that is just about to wrap up, I only have 2 in-person classes, and it's the same for next semester. So I'm not on campus that often, so I do a lot of stuff at home anyway, like as far as work, because I don't just spend time on campus for fun. That's not enjoyable to me, and I have too much going on for that. So the amount of work that I do outside of class is like everything, but it's probably not even 3 hours, like probably 4 hours a week. I'd knock stuff out quick, and I'd go ahead. So like right at the beginning of the semester, if I have online classes, or even in-person classes that let me do more work than they've already talked about, I'll just do everything. I just go to like the little grade book section and see when things are due and do it like, if I can go a month in advance, I will. Just that way I can focus on other things. It's not always the best for retaining information, but I'm not always super worried about that depending on the class. If it's like History 101, I'm not as worried about retaining, dates from the beginning of human civilization. Like it doesn't matter as much to me. I can teach it out of a textbook. I don't need to like have everything memorized, if that makes sense. I think more what my degree should be for is to learn how to teach, not to learn what you are teaching, if that makes sense. Like I think you should definitely understand the major concepts of each discipline, whether that be history, geography, economics, etc. But anyway, I'm going way off topic. The amount of time that I spend on stuff outside of class is not very much, like a week.
So the perceived workload is more than the actual workload in most cases?
Well, I don't know if I would say in most cases.
Well,
I think it also depends. In my experience, I would say yes, but it also depends on what type of education you're going in for. I'm sure like math education majors have to do a lot more, or it at least feels like a lot more than me, or even like English majors. English education majors having to write a ton of stuff and read a ton of stuff. So yeah, I would say I'm definitely not like the average, but you can make it like mine, I'm sure.
Yeah, so do you think, to me that would point to classes feeling pointless more than meaningful.
Yeah, I would say yes. A lot have felt pointless to me. This whole semester has felt pointless to me, to be honest with you. I still have a lot of introduction classes. I think I have one 300 level class, which I don't know if you understand what that means. So like an intro class would be like 101, and then some of those like supplemental ones are like, 102 or like 110 or something. So it's usually like as you go up like year wise, it's like you'll have like a 200 level class, a 300 level class, 400 level. I think it goes higher than that. Is that correct? Camera person, Jana?
500 is grad studies.
500 is grad studies. So it does continue to go higher. But, so yeah, I only have like a couple 300, and I think next semester I have some 400 planned. So those ones feel a little bit more important. I feel like they engage me a little bit more, and that's what's important to me. But yeah, I don't know. It's they all have a point to them, but some definitely feel like the point is less than others. But
yeah, that makes sense, I suppose. So that next question, we'll just move to the next section.
Yeah. So I can kind of ask you, I think when people think of trades a lot, they think of using their body, like using and abusing it, like it gets, it takes a toll on you. So what's kind of like the physical demands, specifically not of like your job, but like of the schooling?
Minimal,
Oh, really?
I'd say. If you're getting on the ground and working on stuff, you're probably going to have sore knees or something like that. But, when I compare my actual job to schooling, there's like very little.
Really?
There's very little toll on my body. I'd say. I have like a kneeling pad, so I move that around for my knees. But yeah, you're moving stuff, so like you're using your muscles, but you're not going to take a heavy toll on your body like you will in the actual workforce.
Yeah. What's the pace of learning like? Like,
it's very different for individuals.
oh, really?
There's some, like, I feel like I've picked up on it fairly quickly, and I feel like that makes a difference if you're actually working and doing stuff, but some people are just kind of retarded. I hope we can say that on here.
I think it should be fine.
My president can say it, so I can say it. Anyway, yeah, no, some people are really dumb, or some people just don't care. So it's quite a bit to learn to actually understand how systems work and how components work in certain systems. HVAC's definitely a lot more to learn than plumbing, I feel like, or maybe I just picked up on plumbing easier. I don't know, but the pace of learning is very different for different people. Like my understanding on something is going to be extremely different than another person's understanding.
Yeah, which I think that goes for any kind of education, really. So obviously with the trades, you're using your hands a lot more and physically doing stuff. Like I don't do that. So what's like the hands-on portion compared to like the classroom portion? Like what's the percentage? Like 50-50, 60-40?
It's probably 50, close to 50-50, 60-40. Shop being 60, 40 being classroom. Typically, I don't know. It seems like a lot of the time for every hour in the classroom, there's 2 hours in the shop, but that's also how credits work. So,
Okay.
a 1 credit hour you get for an hour in the classroom, but for the same 1 hour or 1 credit hour, you need 2 hours in the shop. So, and it's different, you know, first semester, it seems it's focused more on understanding. And then
Because the class isn't like, it's not a semester, like is it a whole, it's a whole year, because it's a 1 year program?
they're split into semesters.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, you know, more hands-on than classroom probably. It kind of depends on what you're doing, you know. It's not super structured around like a syllabus or anything. It's just kind of whatever we feel that day.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, we'll have a project going or whatever if it's like hooking up a furnace or a unit heater or whatever. And then, you know, you have to work on that maybe 2 sessions or whatever. So, you know, roughly, you know, I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, that makes more sense. What in your education is harder than you expected? Or is anything harder than you expected?
Yeah, like it's kind of harder to there's a lot more to learn than I thought. Like I didn't think it was going to be so technical and all that. But it's not that bad if you actually like apply yourself and want to learn about it. So that was maybe the only thing that I wasn't expecting so much.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
And that's more on the HVAC side than plumbing side. I thought
Okay.
plumbing school was fairly simple. I mean, frustrating sometimes if you're trying to put together a DWV system or something in the lab and, you know, you're not getting it right, or you're cutting, your measuring is off, or, you know, stuff like that would get frustrating, but not necessarily hard.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I suppose we can probably move into the next section, which I can take us into. I don't know if we're going to be, like, completely transparent. I don't know what your idea was. What's the cost of tuition?
Yeah, I'll be completely transparent. I don't care.
Okay.
Tuition, like just straight tuition for a semester.
Like, I guess, what's, like, the cost? So, tuition, fees, all of that.
Yeah, so your tuition, you're probably looking at about $2,200 a semester. This is like without any assistance or anything. This is just flat cost. Fees, you know, I don't know what that ends up being. Maybe $200-$300 a semester. Books, you know, it really depends on how many books you need. If you need books, tools is where you're gonna look at a big cost in a trades program. You know, the school does tool kits, so I'll just go off of that. The plumbing toolkit when I was in school was $1,000 for the whole year. That was everything. The HVAC toolkit is $2,500.
Wow.
I didn't buy the HVAC toolkit. I bought my own stuff. A lot of it is what's in the toolkit. A lot of it's what I wanted. So I probably spent more. But, you know, that's roughly, you know, what you look at. But I don't really look at the tools as a schooling cost, because it's going to be something you carry with you forever or till they break.
So, like, total for a semester would be...
You're like, well, it's completely different from a fall to a spring semester based on tools.
Oh, okay. So, I guess just average it out then over the year.
Probably $3,000
per semester. Okay. Yeah, that's definitely less than mine. So, I mean, because this next semester that I just got my bill for, with like tuition and fees and everything. This is for 5 classes, so 15 credits, 5,800, and that's before books and stuff. So
Yeah, and
I'd
like
say 6,000.
and so double, but the big thing you're missing too is you don't have housing costs. It usually goes.
Well,
along
yeah,
with
and that's
it.
what I was gonna mention. I mean, I don't even know how much housing costs. A lot is what our resident expert is saying. A lot. Do we have a specific number? We have her looking. I would, but again, like 6,000 probably after books. That's for me. But that's also in-state tuition, so that's something you have to keep in mind. And other schools charge more for tuition. Like it depends on the school too. So I can't give an overall number for 4-year schools, but that's just what mine is looking like. And then obviously you have assistance that comes in, or scholarships if you earn them. But yeah, I mean, I don't think it's terrible. I mean, it's better than what I thought, really. So what our resident expert is saying is over 6,000 a year to be in the dorm at the University of North Dakota. So add that on.
It comes out to be about 9,000 a semester.
Yeah, and I suppose a meal plan.
So you're roughly looking at 20,000+ a year to be in school, living in the housing.
Yeah.
So definitely a big difference.
Yeah, I would say so.
Like over triple the expense of a trade slash.
To be
tech
fair,
school.
I mean, if you are going to a trade school, you still do need to live somewhere. But obviously, it's cheaper.
Much more,
Yeah.
depending on where you live. Of
Well,
course,
yeah,
but
I mean,
generally speaking,
you can live in a place just as expensive.
Yeah. So what is there to be said about the debt that most acquire in a 4-year school compared to the immediate earning that somebody will get out of a tech school?
Yeah, so I can't speak from experience because I currently do not have any student debt. But I would say, I mean, are we talking specifically education degrees?
Just 4-year degrees versus trades tech school.
Yeah, so I guess it's going to depend on what your degree is in. But I would say most people that go to a 4-year end up taking out student loans unless they're getting help.
And the numbers show most of them aren't even going to work in the field that they went to school for and got a degree for.
Yeah. But so I guess it's almost kind of hard to calculate that then, because they're earning after they get a degree, if it's not even based on what they get a degree in. Like, I don't know how you would even measure that. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess the logical answer would be to say that, like, they don't make as much right away. Or they can make a ton right away, but they have to put a ton in. That's, like, you know, for anybody, like, medical. But there's even more schooling after the 4 years. So I guess I don't even know what, like, a typical high-earning job out of a 4-year is. Like, just 4 years. I don't even know.
I'm not sure. So how has your path shaped how you think about money? Because obviously it's more expensive than what I've gone to. Or I mean, I don't know what it comes out to after scholarships and stuff, but generally.
Yeah, I mean, I've been, I guess, probably blessed by my situation, but, you know, getting scholarships and stuff, I mean, being a part of the military also helps with cost. So I still do think very, like, heavily on the financial side, but I'm just more frugal in general. So I guess you can't really even budget out for school because, like, you know, I don't make enough in a month to pay for school, like, for, you know, a bill of school. So it costs, well, one semester of school would roughly be like 2.5 months of me working.
Without spending it on anything else.
Yes. So, like, you just kind of have to think about that. Then again, I'm not paying for all of it either. It's not like I'm dropping $6,000 every or twice a year on school. So, but yeah, I mean, I would say like people who are normally in a 4-year school, they need to watch their student loans, especially because I think a lot of people take out more than they need, and then use that for rent, food, not even groceries, but just like fast food or dining out or delivery. And they're like, well, it's the same as if I had a meal plan, but it's not. Like, but yeah, so I think I probably have to watch my money more than you, or more than somebody in a 1 year or 2 year, like a trade school, I guess. But I don't know. It depends on the situation, I would say.
Yeah, that makes sense, I suppose. We'll just transition because I don't know what it looks like for time. But what do we have to say here about the college equals success narrative, and the trades are less academic, or oftentimes seen as like a backup plan, or for the dumb people that can't go to college?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think. Well, I know it's not completely true, but it's. I mean, because there's definitely dumb people who go into trades, and there's definitely people who go to 4-year university that become very successful. So there's truth, but also false narratives in both of those. I don't know. It's like it just depends on the person in any case, because somebody might be going to a trade school as a backup plan. Maybe they didn't get into the college they wanted, and they're like, oh, well, I need money, so I'm going to go be a welder or something. It's hard to know what people are looking for in life, or why they're choosing the things that they're choosing.
I guess, but I think here what we're talking about more is like the social status of it, or the stigma.
Oh, the social status.
Or like the stigma of,
I think
a
that
trade school, for example.
I think it's changed a lot recently. I think a lot more people value the trades, especially with AI and stuff. I mean, and you see all these educators or guidance counselors or whatever saying like, you should just go to a trade school. I feel like we heard that more when we were younger too than probably people a little bit older than us. I still feel like people think that they need to go to college, but I think it's definitely pounded more into people's brains now that trade schools are an option, more than they probably were, 15 years ago. But
yeah, no, that makes sense. And like, I guess, can you speak on any personal level on comments you've heard from, family or friends about either? I think we heard a lot of different things than maybe most people would hear.
Yeah, I think that our family was supportive of whatever we wanted to do. Like, if they were like, if that's what you want to do, and if that's what you see yourself finding joy in, then you should do it. And I think that's how a lot of people should approach it. I mean, some kids are stupid, and they're like, I want to go get a degree in, I don't know, Shakespeare. That's a thing. And that's not a high, you're not going to get a job out of that. Or it'd be very niche. So, like, what you want to do might not always be the smartest, but I don't think everybody's as dumb as we think, and people try to think about what's going to be successful. They might just need a nudge in the right direction.
Yeah, but I think, just saying that if it's going to be something that you enjoy doing isn't enough. You have to do a basic, cost-benefit analysis on what you're going to school for, and if you can actually afford to pay that or borrow that for school to go into a job that you might never make enough money to pay that back reasonably.
Yeah, but you also don't want to do something that you don't want to do.
I guess.
I think that that'd be a terrible way to live, personally. And I'm saying that as somebody who has heard from other people that it's not worth going to school for education based off of how much you're paid. But I think you have to think about it not completely in a financial sphere, which I find it hard to do being the way that I am with money, but sometimes you're not like sometimes what you want to do and what you're meant to do isn't going to pay the most, but you need to find ways to make it worthwhile or make it happen.
So who do you feel more judged by when you tell them what you're going to school for? Peers or adults? Like older adults?
I don't really feel judged by anybody because I don't really care what they say, but I would say more older adults, like, oh, kids are so disrespectful these days, why would you want to do that? You don't get paid enough, all that kind of thing. So, and you don't hear that as much from people your age. I feel like everybody's just kind of like accepting, we're the generation of being accepting or whatever. So people don't, even if they're thinking something, they don't say it as much.
So do you think society respects your path?
Yes.
I feel like education is a highly respected.
Yeah. Well, everybody's like, yeah, we need to pay our teachers more, and nobody ever does. So that doesn't bother me. It really doesn't. And I think I talked about that in episode 3 of the podcast. Because there's definitely benefits that teachers get that other people don't. But anyway, I mean...
Like 3 months off?
Yeah, but I do think they should be paid a little bit more. But that's neither here nor there. But yeah, I don't feel that judged for my career path. By some people, a little bit, but for the most part, I would say no. How do you feel about that?
I feel like it's gotten a lot better. You talked about it there a little bit. It's been... Well, they've been pushing it a lot more now with the AI stuff for, like, it's a good path. So it's more widely respected, I think, and thought of as a good path and a good thing to do. So I feel like it's gotten better, and I feel like a lot of people see how well people in that field do. Of course, outside of the military, construction workers have, like, the highest suicide rate and stuff like that. So
is that right? I didn't know that.
What I learned today.
Really?
I think it's true. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
It's also a male-dominated field of, masculine men. So I feel like that plays a lot into it, where people just internalize things. Similar to the military, it's a lot of a culture thing. But, so there's pros and cons to it, obviously. But a lot of people see... there's good pay and all that in it. So I think it's become more of a respected thing. Yeah, that's what I think.
Do you think that, because you're also in the military, do you think that that's more of like a trade type job? Like, I know it's classified under military, like it's its own thing, but what do you think it's
The culture's similar, not
to the trades.
Yeah, like military culture's its own thing, right?
Yeah.
But the way that people kind of conduct themselves and a lot of the humor and stuff you hear, it's similar.
Yeah.
It depends on where you're at in the military. But, it's not necessarily for like snowflakes. You're probably going to get your feelings hurt if you're like that. So it's similar in that sense, I think.
Yeah. I just thought that was an interesting thing to throw in there, because that's like kind of where both of our... Because we both have military education that we've taken, whether that be basic combat training or like job training, and then we'll both do some kind of leadership training at some point. And we both had other like random classes that we've taken. So I just thought that was like that's one thing that we both have in common when it comes to some sort of education. But because that's something to keep in mind too, like there's civilian education that everybody, like other than school, that people have, whether that be within their job, like, different courses that places send their employees to. But anyway, we can move on to this next section. Kind of about like skill versus credential in a sense. So like having that degree. Do you think that you learn more how to do something, I learn more why something is? Because I think that's how people would say.
No.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Especially like if you're a technician or you're like a service guy, you need to understand why. You need to be able to like, like for example, you're not, let's say your gas valve's not opening on your furnace. Like you have to understand, the how obviously like how the furnace works, but that's more the why in this question. Like, why is it not doing that? And then you have to like troubleshoot it. So a lot of that stuff is like, why might it be doing this? And then like I work in construction most of the time.
Construction plumbing.
Yeah, most of the time I'm doing construction plumbing. But we do some stuff here and there, like remodels, which is kind of a mixture of both. And then also I've done a little bit of service stuff. But that is like obviously how you're going to build a system from nothing.
Yeah.
But also why it's done that way. You know, there's codes and stuff like that. So I feel like they go hand in hand for what I do, because the how is very important to do it properly, but you're not going to really understand the how unless you know the why.
Yeah, and I think like the idea of this question comes from people misinterpreting the trades as just being laborers, if that makes sense. Like, there are people who are probably not the brightest that...
There's some people that just pick up garbage all day on the job site. Like, that's what...
Or the people who hold the stop sign in a construction zone. Like, but it's like some people just do the stuff that nobody else wants to do because they are a body.
That's why we can't deport all the illegals.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you've worked with some.
I know, I've worked with some people that have been deported, so...
But yeah, so like, I think that's more where this question's coming from, the like, how, like, not just learning how to, you know, use a hammer, like, but like you also learn why something.
Why do I use a hammer here instead of, you know? It's
yeah.
Like, yeah.
So because
just to really dumb it down.
Yeah, because another question under this is like book knowledge versus practical knowledge, but I think it all goes together no matter what you're in.
Well, yeah, like, obviously I have a lot of practical knowledge on what I do, but also if you're going to be a good tradesman, you're going to have the book knowledge of understanding the code book and stuff like that. So again, it goes hand in hand.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of guys don't have that. A lot of guys don't care about that, so that's, I mean, different, but I think they go hand in hand.
Yeah, like there's different roles for somebody in the trades too. Like you need laborers who don't care about that kind of stuff, but you also need very smart people who do know all that stuff. So I think it like depends where you want to be when it comes to that anyway.
Yeah, your ambition level plays a big part. But yeah.
Yeah. I kind of want to move out of that because I don't even love that section all that much. Would you trust somebody without a degree if they were skilled?
Yeah, I mean, I do daily
at
work. I'm trying to think. I mean, a couple guys I work with went to trade schools. They did plumbing school. So, you know, there's that, which is technically it's a certification. I don't know if it's a degree, a diploma. I don't work with anybody that went to a 4-year school. Not a single employee in our company went to a 4-year school that I'm aware of.
Yeah.
If
they did, it wasn't related.
Yeah, a lot did trade school. I think some people, you know, they started out in a 4-year school and then it didn't work for them.
Yeah.
So I don't think I'd trust somebody without a degree on the daily.
Yeah, and I mean, even growing up, like our parents, neither of them went to a 4-year school. Our father didn't go to any post-secondary school, and he is very clearly skilled in what he does. So it doesn't always have to do with going even to a trade school. Like a lot of people learn on the job, and that's perfectly fine. For certain things, it's better that way.
You get paid to learn.
Yeah, exactly. So I think I already know the answer to this question, and I agree with you. But does a degree prove competence?
Absolutely not. You can be a very incompetent person with a degree.
Does it prove commitment?
It may be used to, but now in the age of AI, I don't think it necessarily proves a commitment at all.
Yeah, I think it can, but it also doesn't need to. I mean, if you get like a PhD or something,
oh yeah,
I think that
higher education proves a great commitment. But if like a bachelor's degree, and you see it in the workforce, it proves nothing to anybody. I mean, it doesn't seem to do a whole lot more than a high school diploma at this point.
Yeah.
Which kind of leads into the next question: is experience undervalued? I don't think so, because it seems to be very valued by employers.
Yeah, I think that hiring people who are hiring can kind of spot that kind of thing, especially when it comes to something like technical where you need to know stuff. That like they can ask you a couple questions and they can see how you respond. I mean, it's not always about like knowing stuff right off the top of your head. Like sometimes people are really good at using their resources, but it's also like, you know, I don't know an example for plumbing, but I'm sure there's some things that everybody needs to know. Like they need to know it. It's not something like, oh, I need to go look this up real quick. And I think that's with everything, but yeah, so I would say like employers are definitely able to sniff that out. They're not hiring people and being like, oh, this person has a 4-year degree, I'm hiring them. You know, like I don't think that's all that they care about anymore. I think it maybe used to be that way, but I think most certainly isn't anymore.
Yeah, so let's burn through a questionnaire here quick before I'd like to hit some advice for high school students before we end, but some questions that I want to burn through here quick. What are you most excited about long term?
Like as far as like career wise?
Actually, scratch that. What kind of life would you like for your career to support, especially being in a, you know, generally lower income job?
Yeah.
Or what people perceive.
I mean, I just want to be comfortable, and I want to be able to provide a life for my family and my children that I had growing up. Like, I want them to be able to, you know, go on trips. Not like crazy trips, but like domestic, you know, go to different places in the country. Not like, you know, go to Mexico or something. But
who wants to go there?
Well, like, it's like Cancun, you know, not like I don't know, drug city Mexico. No. Anyway, but yeah, just like comfortable, kind of have some, you know, fun things to do. Nothing crazy. Like, I don't need a massive house with a 3-car garage, but, you know, something comfortable, something that I can be proud of.
What part of the future feels very promising to you right now? Not that that's necessarily on topic, but
finding a job. They need teachers, so I have no fear that I won't be able to get a job. And I think the same goes for you too, I would say.
I have my job, baby.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, I think no matter where you go, you can find work.
100%.
So, what do you want to keep learning? Like, once you even graduate from this second year?
Oh, I mean, most of the learning does not happen at school. Most of the learning happens at work. So, just to continue learning, you know, what we do. You know, this past week, I've been doing a job in cast iron, which is like the first time I've really done a larger scale job in cast iron. So, you know, I really enjoy that, you know, learning the stuff that I don't already know, and becoming proficient in it and literate in those parts of my trade. So that's exciting when I can go to work and do something I've never done before and learn about it. Sometimes a little intimidating, but it excites me to go to work then.
Yeah, I think continued learning is what keeps life interesting. I think no matter what you do, you should at least learn something. Well, I always say you want to learn something new every day and have your mind blown at least once a week. That's what I like to say.
It's very interesting.
Yeah.
Do you want to say that again?
You should learn something new every day and have your mind blown at least once a week. Why are you laughing?
I don't know.
Have your mind blown at least once a week. So learn like something really crazy that you didn't know before.
Yeah. Anyway, do you have any other questions here before we move?
Does anything scare you about your future career?
Yeah, I guess, you know, it would be I ultimately want to go on my own and work on my own, and that's scary.
That's scary.
I think that'd be scary for anybody in any field. You know, you want to do it right, and you don't want to put yourself or your family or whatever in a position of uncertainty. So I think that is scary.
Yeah.
I guess.
No,
Short answer, but
I think that makes a lot of sense. So you said you wanted to get into advice?
yeah, take one.
Okay, yeah, advice for high school students. What is something that you wish you would have known, like that you would tell to a high schooler about post-secondary education?
I don't know. I guess I don't really have the traditional one, so I don't have the knowledge that most of them would seek. I guess I don't remember really getting advice about post-secondary. I just kind of was
So like advice about life?
What would I give them advice about life on?
Well, just like going out of high school. You're the one who said you wanted to give advice.
Yeah, I didn't know it was gonna be me giving advice. Yeah, I guess with life, it sucks a lot of the time. You're gonna go through some stuff. I need to make it easy so we don't have to cut any words again this week. Yeah, stuff happens. You just don't want to let it consume you. It's okay to feel it and to continue to feel it. All of us go through that. So you just don't want to let it consume you. You can use it to make you better and stuff. But yeah, stuff's going to continue to come at you and it's going to suck. But you just have to keep going and find stuff that can make you keep going, I guess. If that makes sense.
That was really good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Have there...
I got an email.
Have you ever, did you receive any bad advice that you'd like to, clear the record on?
Any bad advice that I received? Not specifically. I think that growing up, not even just family wise, but even like guidance counselor in high school and stuff, they all gave good advice. Nobody was like, you need to go to college.
Okay, so then what questions should students be asking themselves to help them as they approach
I think you need to
graduation?
be very honest with yourself and don't lie to yourself either. You're in control of your life. So partially don't let anybody push you in a direction you don't want to go, for one. So I get that's not a question to be asking, but advocate for yourself. So any questions to do that. If you want to do something, ask people who know stuff about it. If you want to be an electrician, talk to electricians.
Yeah, that's a big thing. And I was able to a little bit, in school they brought a whole bunch of career people and whatever. There wasn't a plumber or anything, but I talked to an electrician, a tradesman, and asked those questions. And
and it doesn't just it shouldn't just be surface level either. Even if you have a stupid question, or you think it's stupid, or you think
how much do you make?
Yeah, I mean, but that's something you can ask too. They might not give you an exact number, but I'm sure they'll give you a range. Or what's the don't ask questions just because you don't know if you want to hear the answer. Say you really want to be, I don't know, a doctor. Ask a doctor what's something that you hate about your job. You might not want to know what's gonna be bad, but you need to.
I think sometimes people build it up so much in their head that they don't want to
break it down.
Yeah, they don't want to be convinced. To convince themselves maybe this isn't what I should be doing because I'm so far into it. It's not, I don't want to switch paths. When it's you need to be honest with yourself with something. So that's important too. What is okay to figure out later? What's okay to not know now? What would you tell a high schooler?
I mean, it's okay to not know your entire life plan. But
trust me, it doesn't always go the way you plan.
Yeah,
so
no, that's for sure. I mean, 2.5 years ago, I wouldn't know what I was gonna do. I wouldn't know that I was gonna be a teacher or that I was gonna be in the army. So like you just don't know that kind of stuff, and don't plan your life around things that you can't control either, like that you can't completely control.
What are some examples?
Like a high school girlfriend. I'm not speaking from like personal experience, but I'm just like I know people who have gone through stuff like that, and that can like really throw a wrench in life if you know put all your like marbles in one basket, as the saying goes.
I think it's eggs.
Oh. My bad. It's been a long week. But anyway, yeah. I mean, like, don't put all your eggs in one basket, because then if they all crack, you're screwed.
Yeah, if you drop the basket,
Yeah.
there they go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here, just kind of some closing stuff. What's something you genuinely respect about the path I've taken?
I think I respect the work that it's gonna take. Like,
What do you?
not like you use your hands. I have soft hands. I mean, I have soft hands most of the time. Okay, sorry, that sounded really weird. Like if I'm doing like military stuff, like I don't feel like I have as soft of hands, but I'm proud of my soft hands. But I respect you for like I respect the path that you've chosen, because I think it's we need people like that.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Of course.
I think.
What I respect your not soft hands. What do you respect about the path I've chosen?
I think it's respectable field.
Why?
You're gonna shape young minds. I think that's a good thing. I don't know, man. I think it's a nice thing to do.
Yeah. Sorry, this is weird. We never talk to each other like this, like butter each other up.
I guess I don't want to, like, when I say it's a nice thing to do, I don't mean to make it sound like it's charity, because you're not typically going to be paid extremely well. Maybe things will change soon, but it's a nice thing to do. It's
Important.
Yeah, it's important. So
I'm tired.
But yeah, no, I think that's it's a nice thing to do, to help kids and to wanna, be a deciding factor for stuff they do in the future. So
Yeah, I think that's a big part of it too. But I think that we hit on a ton of good stuff, and we're past that hour mark. So
yeah.
So okay, well, do you have anything to say about next week, maybe?
Yeah, so I don't know yet if it's going to be a full-length episode or if it's going to be some short stuff that we try to...
Will we have an episode going up on Spotify and Audible and Amazon?
I don't know.
Okay.
We have to record it early in the week. Maybe we can do some stuff with family, throw it up on the social medias.
We should have stuff going up on YouTube for sure, no matter what. So
yeah, I suppose, as we move on into next week, it's going to be Christmas time. So we all just, we want to wish you a Merry Christmas. And
2025 is coming to a close.
It
It's the
is.
final countdown.
Yes. So in 2 weeks, I think we're going to try to do a recap on the year. So, as we come to a close, just, close it out strong and, reflect on the past year we had. I personally have a lot of reflecting to do, and there's a lot of, all of us do. So, but yeah, with that being said, we want to wish you a Merry Christmas, and we want to thank you for listening to us, and tune in next time. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.